All right, welcome back to a silver lined relaunch. And ooh, so good, so good. We have I want to say it's got energy, it's got sexuality, it's got encouragement, it's got a little of everything. And when I first had an opportunity to hear about this amazing woman, and understand her journey, her story, I was like, oh my God, how fast can I get you on the show? This episode is brought to you by the Fired Up Entrepreneur Program. And this is a program that we are so proud of. The results have been downright remarkable. And we want to invite you to get a glimpse of what it is like inside this program by inviting you to participate in the Business Boot Camp, which is a 5-day free event, and get involved with this because the pearls that we're going to be sharing each and every day are going to be the foundation for allowing you to make money, keep the money, grow the money, and strengthen not only your business, but also yourself. So please take advantage of this and join us at our next boot camp. You're listening to the Silver Lined Relaunch, and I'm your host, Hillary DeCesar, award-winning entrepreneur and transitional coach. Each week, I'll invite you to tune into inspirational stories, revealing how you too can turn ordinary experiences into the extraordinary. Feeling stuck? I'll share step-by-step strategies to fuel your ability to experience a life where silver linings are both abundant and possible. So, Carolyn, welcome. This is so much fun for me.
Thank you, Hillary. So great to be here.
Well, what so many people probably don't know about you is that you have written a book, and the book is 50 First Dates After 50. Yes. And it is, I had a chance to get a pre-copy of this, and I got to tell you, I was on a plane and I just kept going with it. I was like, oh, this is so good. So I'm really excited to talk about your journey because you've had some very significant relaunches that have brought you to where you are.
True.
So true. So we're going to dig into.
Yeah. How far back do you want me to start?
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably the most significant, and your journey along the way of getting to the place where you wanted, because you were a top researcher. So you had something significant happen in your life. And even up to that point where you were really trying to find yourself. And I think that this book is such a natural reflection of where you continued to go with it. That quest, the quest for, the purpose, the why are we here? But you so fabulously put this together. So share with us where this began for you.
Well, I'm going to a little bit of backstory just so you know why I did this. I have to start in my 20s as a feminist. I was a young feminist, and I didn't want to be a housewife, and I wanted to be independent and strong. And I was getting there. I had good education and things. And then I ended up being in Berkeley in the 1970s, which was very exciting for feminists. And a lot of people were becoming lesbians. And I did that because the men were really boring. And they were just...
Wait. You got to stop there. I love how you said, and I became a lesbian. I did that, and the men were kind of boring. And I read this too in the book, and I started laughing, and I'm like, oh my God, my mom is rolling over in her grave right now listening to you.
So is mine, I think. Well, I want to say that the whole lesbian episode, which was 18 years, is going to be my second memoir. So I don't need to go into that now. But right. The point of it was, I was disenchanted with men. They were sexist and boring, and the women were so exciting, and it was so fun to be a lesbian. And I was obviously bisexual, so I could be that. So I had a wonderful time being a lesbian, but I never found the right woman. I never found this woman of my dreams that I had. So I turned back to men after about 18 years, gave it a good college try. And the men had grown up. They were in their 40s. We were all in our 40s. They were not sexist. They had gone through the feminist battles with women, and they were softer and nicer and funner and more interesting.
It's such an interesting way that you're describing your whole lesbian journey.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is. And
Oh.
and
Mhm.
you have the, the bisexuality that, you're very open. We've discussed some of the ideas behind it, but you were willing to give it a try for 18 years.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I gotta ask you, was there something that kind of set you off like, all right, now I gotta try men? Was there? What was it? What was it that flipped you back over to, all right? Besides the fact that now you're in your 40s and you were starting to
Right.
was there
Right.
something that you're like, all right, I'm ready?
Yeah. It was, I'd had a few relationships and they hadn't worked out. And one of my last relationships with women was, here I was trying to not be a housewife and be independent. And I was pretty androgynous by then. And the woman I was with the last time, she wanted me to be her housewife. She was a little controlling. And I thought, wait a minute.
That's ironic right
I
there.
know, very ironic.
Uh-huh.
So after that, I just felt discouraged. I really hadn't, that was like my best shot. She was, a lot of great things about her. So I and one other dating thing didn't come out right then. And then I walked into my new job as a researcher at a community college, and that's when I noticed all the men, and how great they were. And I thought, and my body, it was actually my body flipped. My body had flipped into only being attracted to women. Well, actually, I was still attracted to men. And then it flipped back to only being attracted to men when I saw
in your book, you were like, oh, I saw him. I'm like, his body kind of turned me on.
Yeah. Yeah. So in a way, I've been following my body and my heart about what I need at the moment. And what I needed in my 40s was to date men. The problem was all my relationships with women had been over only less than 2 years. And lo and behold, my relationships with men now were only for 1 or 2 years, because I didn't really have the relationship skills. I'd been really focusing on my career. An advantage of being a lesbian was that I was totally realized that my financial future was up to me. And I got all these graduate degrees and a great job, and realized, and I loved feeling that I was taking care of myself and being financially independent. But so I had not been working on my relationship skills at all. And so I tried men for a while, about 10 years of it. And it was, again, short relationships. And then I discovered the Human Awareness Institute, this great organization that puts on workshops on how to have better relationships. And they had it at my favorite New Age retreat center, Harbin Hot Springs, which has since unfortunately burned down. But the workshops continue. And they gave weekend workshops on love, intimacy, and sexuality. And it was about exploring those concepts and feelings and being able to be open and honest and loving. And it was the most loving group of people I ever heard. It sounded kind of like, oh, I know all this. I know Psych 101. I know how to talk to people. But it was really learning how to be loving and kind and appreciative of other people, and loving myself more. They had all these skills for teaching me that. And so I took the workshops, then I started helping with them. And 10 years into that, and all of a sudden I was in this huge community of people who are very loving and great at relationships.
What an interesting,
Yeah.
I love that you had the know-earth to say, you know what, the know-how, I think it's called, the know-how, that would be know-how to actually reach out to the Human Awareness Institute, really look at it, understand that, wait, there's something going on here, that my relationships are only lasting a couple years. I have my career, and I often talk about this concept of, how come we always are challenged to have all three areas of our life work together: your business, your relationships, the relationship with yourself. We think like, oh, well, my business is really going well, so it's okay that these other, but really you can have each and every one of those quadrants be at this high level, and you went for it, and you're like, wait a second, I want this.
Yes. I started the workshops while I was working, and it was a great compliment to it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's so great. So you're researching, and you're like, oh, becoming like a researcher, you now know. And then what happened?
Well, my first relationship with someone I met at, we call it HAI, HAI, it's pronounced high, it's easier to say, was again for 2 years with a guy, but it was a very spiritual, sexual, wonderful relationship. And I felt like, well, this is getting better. And then the next guy I was with for 7 years. And so I felt like I'm getting better at this.
And this is actually where you started the book.
Yes. And this is where the book starts, because this guy, Peter, was really the guy I thought I wanted to be with. And I really felt like I wanted to be with him, but he wasn't very committal. He was a Buddhist and he was not into attachment or commitment, although he was willing to make we made 6-month commitments, 6 month at a time commitments. So that helped both of us feel secure and free.
But weren't you a little insecure when that 5.5 month part was
a little, I look back, we ended up lasting for 7 years. And when I look back, I thought, wow, if I'd known we were going to go for 7 years, I wouldn't have been so worried. Yeah. But so I would have loved to know that. And so by the time I realized, well, I'm ready to make a commitment. And he was not, and he had just had different life goals. He wanted to move, he lived in Hawaii already, and he wanted to move to Bali and meditate and read and not commit.
The Buddhist,
yeah, and I love that about him. And he was my vacation oasis in Hawaii, and his peace and love, was wonderful for me. But I'm a more active person, and I like to have a lot of projects. I'm in the Bay Area, and I do a million things from work to volunteer to garden and social. So it was a good time to part. But it was very sad. And I had to figure out, well, how am I going to get over him? I still felt like he was my ideal guy, a Buddhist beach boy, basically, I call him, because and I loved that about him, but I knew I needed more. But I didn't know what I needed, because I hadn't been very good at picking.
Were you thinking, do I want to go back to women, or do I want to stay
with men? I wasn't considering women then. I still was very interested in men. One of the things about being a lesbian for 20 years, when I started being with men, I really was eager to be sexual with men. And I was still having a lot of fun doing that. So I thought of, how can there's a couple of things as older women when we date that happen to us. And I saw it happening to my friends. By the time I was in my late 50s. By the time we're in the late 50s, and for every reason want another partner, right? Or for me, the first real partner, there's a lot of weight on each date. We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time to hang out with fun Bobby, hoping Mr. Right comes along. We need to really figure out how to find Mr. Right if that's what we want. And so, and because of the weight of each date, what tends to happen, I saw in me and other people, we do three things. We either settle for someone who's just okay. Someone comes along and they're good. That's okay. I better settle for him. And, they could be fine, but I'm not going to look more because I don't have time. And it's too much of an effort. So that you either settle or you get discouraged. A lot of my friends were dating, and then they put a lot of hopes in one guy because of the time pressure. And then they got devastated when they broke up, either for them, whichever reason. And then they got discouraged from dating. And then they were just sitting home alone watching TV. I saw this. And, or they don't start dating either because they're scared or because they're very picky. Like, no one is going to meet, this is what I want. And if I don't see him, I'm not even going to date. So I was trying to counteract all that. So I developed.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
I went through a divorce, and I was out there, early 40s, 3 young little kids, as a single, mom running a business. And so, you get into this, like, either you just avoid it and you're like, I'm working, I'm taking care of the kids, taking care of the kids. This is my life. Or you start to think, well, I've got this, I've got that. I'm not like I was when I was in my 20s. So you do start to think like, is this as good as I can get? I mean, it does. It's a natural process for all of us. So I love what you also, in the book, you said it wasn't that you were doing 50 first dates again, like the movie, right?
Yes.
You weren't trying to do the same date over and over and over. You literally wanted to experience men. You wanted to experience a wide gamut of men.
Exactly.
God, I love that. But when you're sitting back there and you're like, you just broke up with Peter, and you're trying to figure out, you have that light bulb go off with your friend, and you're like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a research, and I'm going to, make this happen.
Uh-huh.
Were you were you feeling like, you were discouraged and devastated and, were you in that point at that point, or were you trying to avoid getting there?
Yeah, I was just trying to avoid getting there. I wasn't that discouraged. I was sad about Peter and my breaking up. I was mainly sad. And I was kind of giving myself a pep talk. Well, and our breakup had been over a year and a half of deciding and thinking and stuff. So it wasn't like it had just happened, but I was sad that he left. And we were very close. We broke up as best friends almost. So it was hard.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I have a relationship. We broke up 11 times.
Oh my God.
Like,
Oh my God.
I know. I got a few of those stories in my, back pocket as well. Okay. So
that
now,
might have happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. So
Yeah.
you are now on this new journey, this quest.
Yes.
And share with us like the beginning.
Well, it had a few starts that were fun. I love the idea, as I say in my book. I thought of this great idea. It's going to be 50. I'm going to have a goal. It was 3 elements. I was going to have a goal. It was going to be a research project, and I was going to date different types of men. Not sometimes when we date, we only want to date someone who looks like might be our partner, but I didn't know what my partner would look like, so I was trying to cast a wide net and do different types. I had to like them. I really did. I couldn't, it was just not just anybody, but I had to like them, but I was casting it wide. And then the other thing I was deciding, which I decided by the second date, was that I was going to have lovers who were not going to be my partners as a way to support me along the way, because I was used to being sexual and sleeping with someone. And I didn't want to put that on my new dates. And so,
I love how open and honest you are about your sexuality. Like even in the book, you're very much like, hey, I enjoy sex. And you mentioned this one part where the Human Awareness Institute really encourages you to have non-sexual encounters.
Yes.
But yet on the same flip side, you're like, you know what? It was almost like you needed to refuel yourself, because for so long you didn't have any of that. Right? You were like,
right.
Okay,
Yeah.
you had the woman, you had the lesbian types of sexual encounters, but now you're like, all right, I'm ready. I want to do this.
I was very ready.
You didn't want to just like call this book, I've had sex with 50 guys. You wanted it to you wanted to get to the date part, whereas
right. Good point, Hillary. Because I'm very conscious of this as a dating book. I really feel like the whole reason I wrote it is I feel like I had a couple of great ideas about how to do dating and how to counteract the pitfalls that I wanted to share. And I do want to say, I don't think everyone needs to follow my path exactly, including they don't need to have lovers while you date and stuff. I really wanted to focus on my dating ideas, but sexuality was a big part of it for me. And I saw it as a support for my journey, a crucial support. And I think it would be support for some other women too.
It definitely will. And it's like Elizabeth Gilbert, right? Eat, pray, love. She's not saying this is for everyone, but there's a concept that even it's a mindset, there's a way to go after it. And what you're saying is that, hey, this was my journey. And maybe you can take away some really awesome ways of being as you go forward into your dating life. And I thought, it was great.
Oh, good. Thank you for seeing that. Yeah.
Okay, but now let's get to the juicy part.
Okay, what's the juicy? Okay,
the juicy part is like, give us one of the craziest dates that you actually went on.
Okay, wow, I've thought of a lot of categories, but not crazy.
Okay, I have some. How about wild?
Wild. Well, I have a category of magical and I have a fun. Like the fun. Maybe I'm not that exciting, but the funnest date for me was it was someone I already knew, and he worked at Google. So I actually had a tour. That evening I had a tour of Google, a romantic dinner in Palo Alto on a little alley that made it feel like we were in Italy, and then a hot tub at the public Watercourse Way in Palo Alto. That to me was a great date. That was just so fun.
You know what you're doing for all of us? You're giving us like amazing ideas of different ways that you can look at great dates. I love it.
Okay, good.
So that was a fun one. But now what about the magical?
The magical one was a guy who I had met him on a Sierra Club hike, and I thought he was very kind. And so I went to his house for dinner eventually after a few dinner dates. And he had made a house that was kind of like a Bali hut. It was a hut in Bali, and he danced African dance. So he had all these exotic things around. And so he had all this incredible music playing, and he made me a dinner that was very exotic and that we ate in a dining room with all these statues and masks and things in it. And then he took me outside up to the back of his house where there was a hill, and he said, follow me. And it was February and it was freezing, and I was following him in my nice sandals, and I was going, oh God, what's going on? And we walked up this hill, but I trusted him because I knew him a little and he was kind. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the hill, there was this hut with ephemeral music playing, angelic music playing out of this lighted hut that was glowing with candles, which he had just put in. And it felt like we were in Lord of the Rings, the side of the hill. And we were going up the hill, up steps, and then we got to the little hut. We looked down on his house that looked like it was a little miniature house. And it was just so incredible. I just felt so blessed to be in that situation that he was offering that to me. And yeah.
How did you decide which men to sleep with and which men not to? I mean,
Oh,
can we cut to
okay.
the chase here?
Yeah. Okay. Good question. A lot of the men, mostly I slept with the ones that I knew already, because there's a safety issue. And I knew a lot of men from the Human Awareness Institute. I've been going to workshops for 10 years. And a lot of those men were single. And so we'd all been kind of eyeing each other, but I'd been with Peter for 7 years. So it was, so most of them I had some familiarity with, and we'd been flirting, and I felt safe with them.
Yeah.
Because people that I just met out in the world, like this Sierra Club guy, I actually did sleep with him on the third date. That date, the magical date, because I was just so blown away. But we slept together, but didn't have sex. I said I had a little wine and it was cozy, and I just couldn't imagine driving home. And he said, would you like to stay over? I said, could we sleep with clothes on? And he said, yes. So
when did a guy get frustrated with you? Like, hey, you're going on this, or don't you really care for me? Don't you want to stop this? Don't you want to stop this right now and let's start a relationship? This is what you're after. How did that work out?
Well, let's see. The only one who really protested it's right on the first page of the book. When the guy I was seeing found out that I was still sleeping with other people, I still had other lovers, and he said, but we'd only had 3 dates or 4, and I said, he said, how can you do this to me? And he was really hurt because I realized he had the concept of monogamous dating. That when you date one person at a time, and then you go, until you figure it out. Well, that's what I was trying to avoid. I wasn't planning to try to sleep with a lot of people. I was just had my lovers on the side, who were 2 and then 3 of them. And then I'm very affectionate. And so I like, if I feel safe with someone, I slept with many men before having sex. And that is one of the things I knew from my experience. It's about being able to say what you want, and it's about communication and realizing that we are at choice every minute. The founder of Human Awareness Institute likes to say, every second you get a second chance, which means that if you're in the middle, if you're starting to be with someone and they say, would you like to sleep over? And I say, could we sleep with no clothes on? They said, no, I need to just make love to you. Then I would say, okay, I think I won't stay then. I had to feel like I could do that. And I did that in date number 1.
Yep. I remember I read that.
Yeah. And
so let me ask you something. That you said that you dated multiple dates. This must have been exhausting for you. I mean, you're dating certain guys multiple times. You're going out there, you're finding new guys. I mean, how did you manage your schedule?
Well, it did take 2.5 years to get to 50 dates. And I was working full time. I had a job, luckily, that I was off for the summer. So summers were great, but I just kept steady at it. I mean, I had weekends. I usually tried to do something on a Friday or a Saturday night, not weekdays usually, but the weekends. And I just kept going.
And besides High as a funnel for your dates, Where else did you find these dates? Were you online
Good
dating? Were
question.
you having friends set you up? What was happening there?
All of those. I had, I did have an online ad, but not until halfway through the project after date 25. In fact, date number 24 helped me write my online ad. And
what did this online ad say?
well, it was very specific, and so I got hardly any responses. I described my whole life and how I like being at clothing optional places and work and personal growth workshops and things, and how I want someone who has their own life and their own projects. And I was very specific. It was, and I got a few people answering. I had about 5 or 6 dates that came from online dating. I also, as I said, I went to the Sierra Club singles in my area. There are lots of singles groups. So the Sierra Club had a singles hiking group. So I went with them. And the nearby meditation center, Spirit Rock, had a singles meditation night. And I went there and met somebody there. One of my dates, actually one of the guys who ended up being lovers, he set me up with 2 people. It didn't end up working. I didn't like his taste, but at least I went out with him. He offered 2 people. And then I happened to.
The real question is, did he offer another person and suggest a threesome?
Actually, that did happen. Actually, yeah. Good guess. That was one of my guesses.
Yeah.
But it was not a date I wrote about. I didn't write about all 50 dates. I wrote about 25 of them and referred to the others. The threesome was more hilarious than sexual. It was just very funny. It wasn't very, and it didn't make me like the other guy. So
I always thought that would be, something that, there was a question once in a Truth or Dare, and it was like, Truth or Dare, would you rather have a threesome with another woman and a man or 2 men? And I always thought, like, God, that's really interesting. And truthfully, I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Either combo can be nice, but it has to be the right setting.
It has to be an
attitude and things.
You got to have a very open attitude. Okay, so as we go into, and I know there's like 1,000 questions people are probably thinking in their mind, they're like, Hillary, ask it. I feel like I kind of have girls and boys out there, but you finally. Date number 49. Mm-hmm. You finally met your match.
Yes, I really did.
And I got to tell you, what I kept thinking is, all right, she went out with number 50. What if she had met this guy earlier in this process? So tell me.
Okay. Well, first of all, I had made a pact with myself that if I met the guy, anywhere in the project, I would stop it if it really was the guy, if I could tell. But to tell you the truth, I wouldn't have recognized the guy I ended up as the right partner for me until I'd been through all those dates. Mm-hmm. I really felt the value of having gone through a lot of different types, not gone through, but experienced a lot of different types of men.
Was that a Freudian slip?
Maybe, but it was, I just felt like, one of the things, everyone says have a list of what you want. Well, I didn't develop my list till about halfway through, because again, I was trying to be open to what types of people would I like, what would it feel like? And I was really thinking of it as a research project in which I gather information about what I want. And each date I would say, did he have something I like and want? And did they? And so when I met Jay, I actually wasn't sure I wanted to date him. He didn't seem quite right, but he became quite right towards the end. And so
explain to people, because I understand what you're saying, but explain what you mean by that initially he wasn't quite right and then he became right.
Well, one of the things was he was still married. So that was a red flag, obviously, but he was married in an open relationship. But that was a red flag because that meant he was dating a lot of other people. They were both dating a lot of other people. And so I thought, well, I don't want to be with a married person. And I don't want to be with someone who's seeing a bunch of other people. I was really clear that I wanted my own partner. So I kind of kept him. He wanted to date me, but I said, I'm more, as I got towards the end of the project, I really did start focusing in on men who were available. And, because before I saw a lot of men who were not available just to try out their type. Mm-hmm. So now I'm getting to the available men. And so we had this moment of, I was kind of putting him off, wasn't sure I should date him. And then I was near the end of my project. And I was getting up to 50 and I hadn't found anyone. And I thought, okay, I need a break. I'm going to do this again. I have to, I will go, I'll do the whole project again if I can't find someone by 50, but I need a break. And things conspired. I had a sabbatical from my job. I had all my miles saved. So I booked a trip to Greece for myself for my 60th birthday. It was my 60th, and that's was going to be my break. And I thought, I'll just see what's over in Greece. I'll try
my next date.
Yeah, the last couple of dates will be in Greece, I decided. And so I was talking to Jay on the phone about whether I should date him. And I happened to mention that I had this trip to Greece booked. And he said, I have the time, I have the miles, I could go to Greece. And it was this moment when it all came together of, not only do I want to go to Greece with him, I want to date him, or either the other way around. Not only do I want to go to date Greece. And
but wait. Had you already had a date with him?
No, had not had a date with him. I bumped into him at certain parties, and I knew I was attracted to him, and I knew that he was actually a great guy. But I still thought married. But and also I had learned by then that his marriage was breaking up. So the marriage part was going away. But he was still. Every time I saw him, he was with a different woman. So I felt like, not who, but I realized he was the type I wanted, the type. So I took a chance and said, let's talk, let's have a date. And we had a pretty amazing date our first date was a bike ride, going to a memorial service of a woman that we both knew who had died our age. And then we went to an Oscar party with some other friends. So it was this great combination of stuff. And we just felt so comfortable. We were so comfortable with each other. We barely kissed. We did kiss. We didn't sleep together for a couple of times, and we didn't have sex for 3 or 4 dates. We were just so happy to just be together.
But then you went away.
Yes.
And then that's where the magic happened, but you still had one more date.
Right.
For the book.
Right. And what I had booked a month long.
Who is this poor guy?
Well, first of all, when I started seeing Jay at home, I thought, I can't do the 50th date because I would be untrue, because I think he's the guy, and that would be unfair to anybody. So I just gave it up. I'm going to have to just go with 49. And then my trip to Greece was for a whole month, and Jay could only come for 2 weeks. So he came, we were totally in love. It felt like a honeymoon. It was incredible. He left. I was there by myself, enjoying my last 2 weeks in Greece on a clothing optional beach on an island. We just went to the islands, not to the mainland. And I was missing Jay so much. And but this guy on the beach asked me to play with him. I said, come play with me. And I said, oh, no. I'm in love with Jay, and I'm protecting my last 3 days at the beach. And then I realized, oh my God, he would be the perfect 50th date, because he was a Greek guy. He wouldn't expect a relationship. So, and then I couldn't find him. I had said no, and I lost him. And so it was a big kind of concern about, will I find him again? And I looked for him every day, and he was never there. And then I found him on the last day. And that was my last date.
I love that. And you know what? I say thank you, God, for letting her find someone, because I can't imagine doing another 50.
Oh yeah. Oh, right. I know. Woo. I would have. Well, I want to say one thing. Can I add about that? Doing it again. I felt like I was having fun the whole time. And this is why I wanted to write the book. I had a wonderful time. So that's why I felt like I could do 50 more after a break. It was a little tiring, but I was upbeat most of the time. The amazing thing is, when I wrote the book and then read it, I thought, oh my God, I got rejected a lot. I cried a lot. I got rejected a lot, but it was something about the momentum of 50, with the goal of 50. I picked myself up and brushed myself off and kept going. And I perceived it that I was having fun, even though I was actually rejected a lot.
What would be your, as we go into rapid fire question, what would be your suggestion to women that, forget about the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s, what would you say are the 3 things that they should be thinking when they get themselves back into the dating world?
First of all, the dating is research. Dating is research, and it's about 3 things. It's trying to find out how you are with somebody, and then finding out how somebody else is with you, and then how you both interact. and to try to be objective about that research. And you can get the data, but then you have to evaluate it. And you think about it and how do you feel? And don't proceed unless you feel good. Yeah. The other thing I would recommend is visioning with a vision board or a list of what you want, because I was skeptical about it, but it actually did work. It worked for me because I wrote a whole vision of what I wanted, and Jay pretty much matches it. But you can't just put the vision down. You have to do the footwork. So it's visioning with footwork, because you have to get yourself out and you have to go to those parties even when you don't feel like it. Sometimes I would break myself away from a little cozy group of my friends and said, no, I have a dating project. I have to go to this party or this meditation event just to see. And so it's persistent. It's seeing it as a research project, being persistent, and having a vision.
I think that is, it's so great, because you know that if you are sitting inside your apartment or your house, you truly are your best kept secret, right?
Definitely, yes.
Well, nobody's going to find you.
No one's going to knock on the door.
No, but I can guarantee you that.
Right.
You have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You have to get out to be seen. And so everything you're saying is so incredible. How can people learn more about you?
Well, the best place is to go to my website, which is carolynleearnold.com, carolynleearnold.com. And there you will find, I actually have a thing of dating tips there, which is also going to be the giveaway for this show. Dating tips, also how to order my book. And also you'll see my links to Facebook and Instagram there. So that's the best place to start. And
one of the last questions I always ask is, what is your favorite beauty product? Name.
I have it right here. It's Boom. It's Boom.
I have seen that.
It's Boom. They have this incredible lipstick. It looks really dark, but it complements my skin.
Isn't that not only a lipstick, it's a blush? It's
you can put it there. Yes.
Like
I love it as a lipstick. I try to just get a tan, but you can put it on and smear it around, and they have this.
You really like it. Awesome.
I love it because even though it looks kind of big and awkward, it's just what I need. I just need a little color. I don't wear a lot of makeup.
Well, I've seen the ads for them.
And they have this glimmer one too. So if you want to be special, you can be kind of sparkly on your cheeks. I have put this on my cheeks. The sparkle part.
I have a tendency to want to put the sparkle out there.
Yes. And they have a few other products too. These are the two that I use.
I will make sure that I put that in the show notes.
Yes.
So everyone can find that as well as find you. And then as we wrap this up, I like to ask one last question.
Okay.
What does Powerhouse of Possibility mean to you?
To me, that means I just think of it as someone full of their own energy in a good way, grounded really in who they really are, and that it's how I feel when I feel like I'm at my best and I'm doing what I'm meant to do, whether it's work or a relationship or a travel or a writing. It's just that feeling full of all your own possibilities. That's how I feel of it. That's how I think of it.
That is awesome. And everyone is so excited. Your book comes out. When is it actually out and available to purchase? It's available on November 2nd, 2021, but it can be pre-ordered anytime before that. And if you go to my website, you can order it the usual places or through an independent bookstore. It's really good to support independent bookstores these days. They're really struggling, and they're very supportive of writers and women's writing. That's terrific. And yes, again, I enjoyed so much on the plane. I was like giggling to myself, and I'm like, oh my God, yes, I get it. So thank you again so much for being here on the show. And everyone, I encourage you, go out, get this book, 50 First Dates Over 50. I mean, Carolyn, it has been so fun having you on the show. Oh, same here. Thank you, Hillary. It's been great. I love talking to you. Absolutely. We'll talk again soon. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Silver Lined Relaunch. If I said something today that resonated with you, will you please head over to iTunes right now and leave us a 5-star review and share this episode with others and help them find the silver linings as well. And don't forget, you can have immediate access to the show notes, any giveaways, and the links to those amazing beauty products at therelaunchco.com/podcast. Until next time, there's always a silver lining, and now is the time to hit the reset button to relaunch those transitions into transformations.